Hello and welcome to another video for Midas Touch Toys, Games and Collectibles. And today we're looking at something that is very rare, very old, very collectibles and very difficult to find, especially in the condition that this particular one is in. We are looking at the 1967 release by Century 21 Publications from their Gerry Andersons series of activity, painting and colouring books. And this particular one we're looking at today is based on the television series Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons, which was, as you know, the 6th series that the Andersons, Gerry and Sylvia Anderson, produced in their famous Super Marionation, which basically was the electronic marionettes puppets, which they called Super Marionation. There was 32 episodes of Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons produced, and they ran for about 25 minutes each episode, and it ran from 1967 to 1968 and aired in more than 40 other countries, which included the USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand and Japan. Sadly, there was only the one series of Captain Scarlet produced, and that's because Lou Grade, who was their financial backer, thought it's easier to sell a new series than revisit a series that's already run. So the second season of Captain Scarlet was not given the go-ahead, and the Andersons had to produce a new series, which they did, which then was Joe 90, and that's another story. However, Captain Scarlet did make a return in 2005, where it aired from February the 12th to November the 26th. There was 2 seasons of 13 episodes per season's made, and it was in CGI, so it had been updated to computer generated images, and it was entitled Gerry Anderson's New Captain Scarlet. But anyway, we're looking here at the original Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons from the 1966-67 television series. And this is the Captain Scarlet painting book in front of us. And it says Gerry Anderson's Captain Scarlet painting book as seen on television. And you've got the Century 21 logo at the bottom there. And if I just turn the book over to the back, well, we've got exactly the same images again there. Gerry Anderson's Captain Scarlet painting book. And you can see Captain Scarlet standing there, and at the background you can see him in his Spectrum saloon car together with Captain Blue, and they're being chased by probably Captain Black, I'd imagine. And it says Century 21 books, and it's book number CS1. So a very quick look at the spline. There wasn't a great deal to see on the spline. It's just a yellow thick spline, but it holds the book together quite nicely. Okay, that's the front and back covers. Let's open the book up and let's have a look inside. Okay, so I've opened the book and there's the very first page, and you can see that the first image of Captain Scarlet has been coloured in with crayons. Not particularly neat, but it has been done. But a book that's 1967 to 2025, so we're looking at 58 years old, is can be forgiven for having a few pages that have been completed. Remember, these books were made for colouring and painting and what have you. So anyway, this is Gerry Anderson's Captain Scarlet painting book, and there's the image of Captain Scarlet behind the wheel of the Spectrum saloon car. And it's got copyright 1967, Associated Televisions, all rights reserved throughout the world, published by Century 21 Publishing Limited, and their address in Fleet Street, distributed by Century 21 Organisation, Century 21 House in London, WC2, and it was printed in Spain. And the price for the book was 2 shillings and 6pence, as it says in the bottom right hand corner. Okay, that's the first page. Let's open it up to the second page. So there we have an image of the Spectrum cloud base, and again it has been coloured, well, partly coloured in crayon. Again, not particularly neat, but as it's in crayon, it can be rubbed out. So, you know, if it was something you wanted and you wanted to rub out the crayon, you could do that quite simply. Now, the interesting thing about this book was not only does it give you pictures to colour, but it also gives you a story which runs along the bottom pages. And this is the first start. This is a cloud base is hovering at 40,000 feet up in the sky. This is the fantastic headquarters of the Spectrum organisation. If you move on to the next page, and there's Colonel White, and again, he has been he has been coloured in. It's only his shirt which hasn't been coloured, or his tunic. And it says, Commander-in-Chief of the organisation, Colonel White, issues his orders from the central control. And then on the next page is an important mission. Colonel White calls for his agents, Captain Blue, Scarlet, Magenta, and Grey. And then we go on. The Mysterons have announced they will destroy the world president at the Monte Carlo Grand Prix. The agents are ordered to patrol the route. Lieutenant Green orders the agent's passenger jet craft to be on standby. Fully briefed on the assignment, the 4 agents hurry to their craft. Blast off, the Spectrum passenger jet streaks from the cloud-based runway. And 30,000 feet away, and the jet dives earthbound. With Captain Grey at the controls, the jet passes swiftly through the clouds, making for their destination. Well, the story goes on, and as does the pictures, as you can see. I'm not going to read every single one for you. There's a lot of pages in here. As you can see, that most of them are untouched. There's one there that has been started, again, not exactly neatly, but that looks like it's in pencil, so it could be rubbed out again. And then again, we're back on to the images. So far I think we've got 5 pages that's been coloured. The rest of the pages are untouched by the looks of it. But the story goes on. There's another one there. There's Captain Scarlet has been slightly coloured in. That looks like it's in felt tip, so that might not be erasable. It's Perry is now back in the lead and going flat out for victory. Scarlet gains 4th place. And then we're back onto untouched pages again. Welcome to Monte Carlo. And there's a finish line. Round the final bend, the 2 cars roar as the people of Monte Carlo prepare to salute the winner. The world president is escorted across the finishing grid by Spectrum security guards. And there we go. Again, the book goes on. And it says the car swirls across the track towards the president's grandstand. The car is on a crash course. The president panics. There is nothing anyone can do to avert the crash. Captain Scarlet realises that the Mysterons have gained control of the car and prepares for action. The Mysterons' car destined to crash into the grandstand. Scarlet sets his own car on a crash course. But the 2 cars crash and spin across the track. The Spectrum car rams it away from the grandstand. The president has been saved. Car 27 crashes into a tree. But Scarlet's car, in a helpless spin, rolls over the quayside. The Spectrum craft plunges into the blue waters of the Mediterranean. It sinks through the water to the seabed. Inside, Captain Scarlet frantically clutches the controls of the escape hatch. Rescue operations for the doomed Spectrum agents start immediately. A team of frogmen survey the area and find the car. A closer look reveals that Captain Scarlet is not inside. The frogmen return to the surface with the grim news that Scarlet must have drowned. A frogman reveals his findings to the other Spectrum agents, and the whole area is combed in an all-out search for the missing Captain Scarlet. And there he is. Again, it's been coloured in crayon. It says, hours later, at a lonely cove some 50 miles away, the Spectrum agent wades ashore, apparently unhurt. And not long after, the Spectrum search craft spots him and Scarlet is picked up. And that brings us then really to the end of the story, right through until within minutes the craft touches down on the headquarters. Mission successfully accomplished. So there we are. That is the very, very rare, very difficult to find Captain Scarlet painting book. So the question you're asking, how well did this book do back in the day? Well, as with all of these books that the TV's Century 21 produced done very well. Back in the day, we had no other means of watching our shows when they weren't being broadcast on the television. So remember that back then we had 3 channels: BBC One, BBC Two and ITV. That was it. There was no videos, so you couldn't record your programs. There was no streaming service, no DVDs, nothing. So what was actually on TV, you had to watch. If you missed it, tough luck, you missed it. So you then had to wait for the show to be rerun, which sometimes happened relatively soon, sometimes a long time, sometimes never. So the chances are, if you missed it, you missed it. So things like Captain Scarlet and the Anderson programs were better. You were better at if you missed an episode, because they did have a tendency to be rerun on children's Saturday morning television. So there was a good chance that you could see it again if you missed it originally. But you had to wait for the reruns. You couldn't just get, like you can now, go on to streaming service and watch it. There was nothing. That technology hadn't been invented back then. So in order to keep us occupied and keep the show fresh in our mind, these books, like these painting books and activity books and colouring books and so on, were produced to keep your favourite programme fresh in your mind. So it kept it active for when the next series was released, even though Captain Scarlet didn't have a season 2, unfortunately. But there wasn't just these. There was annuals, there was comics, there was magazines, and then there was the whole toy range. There was figures, there was vehicles produced, and so on. There was an awful lot of merchandise that was produced over the course of the years. And then again, also, Captain Scarlet made its return to television in the late 90s when it was bought by the BBC and put back on air. So the BBC then run it on BBC Two, I think, in prime time slots. And the same thing again in the early 2000s. It was back on the air again. So it had gone through 3 different generations of people that would watch it as young children. And then, of course, in 2005, the new Captain Scarlet TV series was produced, which ran for a couple of seasons. Again, bringing the forefront of the programme back to people's minds. So yes, as with all the merchandise back in the day, it done rather well, because that was how the show was kept going in your mind, really. So let's move forward to 2025. So we're moving forward 58 years. Does this particular book come up very often on the platforms? And the answer to that was no. Now, I did look through the platforms and I couldn't find another copy of this. Now, I don't know whether that's because it was a rare one. Remember, Captain Scarlet originally aired on TV just for 1 season, which was 66 to 67. So this particular book, I just want to double check that date, actually. Beg your pardon, it wasn't 66 to 67, it was 67 to 68. I was going to say, because Thunderbirds was 66. So, yeah, so Captain Scarlet was September 67 to May 68. That was the original airing dates. So, anyway, I couldn't find any other of these on the platforms. I went back a couple of 2 or 3 years and I couldn't find any. So, I don't know if it was because it was a rare. Maybe they didn't release as many copies as they did of other ones. I think they've done a lot more of the Joe 90 ones, but the Captain Scarlet ones seem to be quite few and far between. They do not appear very often on the platforms. Well, I couldn't find one in the last 3 years, not this particular one. I did find 1 or 2 of the others, with the angels, and a few of the other ones with the stickers had appeared on the platforms over the course of the years, but I couldn't find another one of these. So it is quite a rare book. It doesn't come up very often, and when it does, I'd imagine it'd be sold very, very quickly. Even though the condition of this one is very good. There is some marks along the cover there where the cover's been folded back, and we had, I think, 6 of the pages have been coloured or have been partly coloured, but the rest of them are all completely empty. So just as if they would have been from if you bought it new back in 1967. Now, other than that, there are some slight aging spots on the edges of the page, and that's all due to the paper that was used back in the day. It was cheap paper to keep all the costs down. So this particular one has survived the test of time, but I can't say the same for about any others, because I couldn't find any other ones on any of the platforms. But this particular book is of today now available to purchase on the Mysterons website, and we do only have the one copy. So if it's something you're interested in, I suggest you don't hang around, because I don't think it's going to be around for very long. But as of today, it is available to purchase on the Mysterons website, which you can get to very simply by clicking the link below. It will take you straight to the website, where you'll be able to find this and many other vintage Gerry Anderson items, and many other vintage toys, games and collectibles come to that. There's over 10,000 products currently available on the website for you to view and purchase at your leisure. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because we're uploading videos for every new item that goes into the website. There will be something for everybody, and I'm absolutely positive that this is something that you're not going to want to miss, because we literally have thousands and thousands of new items which we're shooting videos for and uploading on a daily basis. So if there's something in particular you are looking for, something old that you've never been able to find, something quirky that you might want to buy for a friend, or perhaps just something from your childhood that you'd like to own again to help you recuperate those long lost childhood memories, well, stay tuned, keep watching, because you never know, the next item we upload could be that item you've been looking for. Okay, that is it for me on this particular item. I do hope you've enjoyed reviewing this wonderful 1967 Captain Scarlet painting book with me. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next video. So bye for now.